Gable coming back at you with another progress update, clearly not from the shack. The kids are currently on their fall break from school, so we're taking advantage of these couple days off, and I brought the kids somewhere they've never been, but a place I spent a great deal of time during one of the most critical and formative periods of my life, really. We are in Colorado Springs, Colorado, where I trained from 2004 to 2012 and spent the last couple years of my Greco-Roman career living full-time at the Olympic Training Center here in my quest toward making the 2012 Olympic wrestling team and representing the USA at the Olympic Games in London. Before we get into what we're doing while we're here, I wanted to give some rehab and recovery updates because I just had my final follow-up appointment for both procedures with Dr. Dugas in Birmingham, and I'm happy to report that we are way ahead of schedule. Dugas was thrilled with my progress, and it sounds like he may be climbing back into a WWE wrestling ring very, very soon, fortunately. We're firing on all cylinders at this point, so with that confidence boost, I'm looking at this trip as a perfect way to increase the intensity, dial in training, diet, and cardio even more in a new environment for a few days. Not only that, but it's going to be a way to give my kids a glance into the life that their dad lived before they were ever even born. They're so familiar with everything WWE and Chad Gable, but I don't think they've ever really understood how serious I was about my Greco-Roman career and my journey to the Olympics. So I want to share that with them. Fortunately, the committee at the Olympic Training Center was gracious enough to arrange a privately guided tour for us. So we're going to go check that out now. Kind of insane coming back here and thinking about like how much time, effort, sweat, just blood, tears, all the cliches were spent in this room on these mats, like right around here. This is it, man. This is where I spent a lot of time preparing for the 2012 Olympics. Learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about work ethic. I think the sport of wrestling is like kind of the most primal thing you could do as a human being. You know, it's a one-on-one pure combat. You got no one else to blame. Nobody gets out undefeated, right? So it teaches you lessons like humility, discipline, the kind of stuff that you can take into every area of your life forever and ever, and you never lose it. And there's really no other sport, I don't think, that can serve you in the way that wrestling can as far as that goes. It's pretty incredible. We used to do these things called grind matches. They were like 2 hours straight live wrestling. And live wrestling, for those of you who don't know, it's just basically like sparring would be in boxing. And these 2-hour matches were meant not only to beat your opponent with points, but to break their spirit and break them physically, mentally, in every way, like as a human being. It sounds kind of vicious, but that's what it was. And I remember I did my first one ever here in this room against a veteran heavyweight from the Marines named Dan Hicks. And it was just everything short of a fist fight, essentially. We were just beating the crap out of each other, mostly him beating the crap out of me. I was an 18-year-old kid. He'd been doing it for years. But I remember sitting against this exact pillar right here when I was done. And I sat down and I was pouring sweat and all of this, but all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I just like felt tears start coming down my face and coming out of my eyes, but I wasn't like crying. It wasn't an emotional thing. It was like this unrelenting physiological response to what I had just been through, this 2-hour brutal grind match. It was insane. I've never experienced anything like it. It was like almost ethereal, but it really like kind of opened my eyes as to the level of like discipline and what it was going to take to make the Olympic team, if that's really what I wanted to do. So it was quite the experience. Now that I'm this far along in the process, I am so happy and grateful that I convinced myself not to overdo it and push it too early. Trust me, every piece of me wanted to rush back into training hard immediately. Thank God that I didn't. There's no telling what kind of situation I'd be in right now if I'd done that. Everything I did by the book. The first 3 months of rehab, and now I'm receiving the payoff of that investment. Like being able to train really high intensity again without fear of setback or re-injury. It's very rewarding to know that like that's because of the care I took in the early stages to do what everybody told me to do. The biggest challenge at this point really is just showing the discipline to do the amount of work I need to do and not the amount of work that I want to do, which always means I need to do less than I want. You know, I always want to push it to the max and do more and more and more, but that's just not beneficial. It's a lesson that took me, well, it's still taking me a lifetime to learn, and I never really have. Now, I refer to it as my toxic trait, just always thinking I need to do more. And now being back here in Colorado Springs where I used to train, it made me reflect a bit on how training for so many years at the level of intensity that it takes to make an Olympic dream come true kind of has a few of its own negative ramifications as well. Unfortunately, I'm finding out. What I mean by that is basically, you know, I ingrained this Olympian's all or nothing mindset into my head forever, and I've never been able to shake it. The logical part of me knows that that extreme of a mindset doesn't always serve me in the best way anymore. I overdo everything I choose to do in life to the extreme, right? Even if it's something as simple as like making a cup of tea, right? 1 tea bag? No. Let's try 4 tea bags instead. It's got to be extreme. There's no testing the waters for me. That is my toxic trait. And it's one that my trainer Jay tells me I'm going to take to the grave with me, unfortunately. But at the same time, who's to say like where I would be right now without that toxic trait in my life? Right now, I'm exactly where I've always wanted to be, doing what I wanted to do. Since I was 5 years old, I wanted to be in the WWE, wrestling for WWE. And that toxic trait, I think, is what has propelled me to this position. So can't be all that bad, right? And that's the messed up part, I guess, is like I don't want to let that part of me die because I'm afraid of what might go with it if it does. So got up early this morning to come out and do a special cardio workout. We are at the bottom of what is called the Manitou Incline. It goes up something like 2,000 feet in elevation or something like that, which, as you can imagine, in an already elevated city, it's a brutal workout. Nasty hike we used to do for a cross-training workout on Saturdays for Greco. And I've come to put myself through it for a very specific reason, which I'll tell you in a bit, but let me go get started on this thing before I change my mind, because it sucks. Yeah, it sucks. Sucks already. We're just getting started. Long way to go. I love it. They give you these little step markers on the way up. Make sure and let you know how not close to the top you still are. So nice of them. Every step. Huge. Stop off for a little break, because how could you not appreciate that? Oh man. On our way. Easy. Easy. It's dangerous up here. Dangerous. That is not the top. That is what we call the false peak, the torture device. We pick you there, and it reveals you've got a long way to go. Like I said, we just passed the false peak. The reason I actually decided to put myself through this today, I was gonna let you know, was I proposed to my wife at the top of this mountain, and she is not a fitness fanatic. So we got to this false peak and she wanted to turn around and go back. And I said, oh no, we're not. We have come too far. And I knew I had this ring in my pocket. So I forced her to finish this thing just like I'm about to. I think she's happy about it at this point. I hope so. We're almost there. Final push, baby. Let's go. About another 1,000 steps to go. Look at that view. Right? Yeah. So we made it. I'm at the top. I am sitting in the exact spot on the ledge where I proposed to my wife, and she said yes, thankfully. We buried 2 mini champagne bottles I brought up with me right over here after I did it. The views from up here, just, you reflect on it, it makes you experience like a childlike kind of wonder that I think is hard to come by. Just kind of look out and you're inspired in a way that doesn't happen very often anymore. It's pretty neat. I mean, the workout itself is freaking gnarly, man. It's hard, but the sense of achievement and accomplishment you get when you get up here and get to take this all in and just reflect for a minute, it's unbelievable. So now that that's done, let's do the worst part, the climb back down. And man, talk about a renewing experience. I mean, coming here was the perfect way to get a much needed change of scenery just for a few days, really, and create some lifelong memories with my wife and kids that I don't think they're gonna forget. So after this trip, I'll be headed back to Minnesota, refreshed and ready to tackle the next phase of this process. And I'm really hoping by next phase of this process, I mean getting back to in-ring training, which is really what this entire process has been about, right? Getting back in front of our fans, in front of you guys, and doing what I do best. So thanks for checking in. We'll see you next time, hopefully from inside of a wrestling ring. Thank you.